2015 for the Capital Program Facilitation Committee. My name is Jennifer Pursuti. I'm the chair of the committee. And this is our annual televised meeting in order to give residents an idea of what the committee is and what it is that we do. So let's start by going around the room and introducing ourselves. If you could say which department you're from and how the capital budget directly impacts you.
I'm Michael Lamb, the Pittsburgh City Controller, and I'm a member of the committee.
Hi, I'm Jim Griffin with Director of City Parks. We manage many of the facilities on behalf of the city.
Hello, Natalia Rudiak, City Council, Finance and Law Chair of City Council, and every year City Council reviews the capital budget and makes amendments to the budget as necessary, as we feel is necessary.
Ray Gastel, Director of City Planning.
Andrew Dash, Assistant Director, Department of City Planning.
Mike Abel, Director, Department of Public Works, and our department probably manages over 50% of the entire capital budget.
Bill Urbanek, Pittsburgh City Council Budget Director. We're getting ready to vote on our final capital budget very soon.
Thank you, and I also want to introduce Pat Hassett, who is our Director of Transportation and Engineering in the Department of Public Works. So I'd like to give a brief overview of the capital budget and the capital improvement plan. Again, if anyone has anything to add at any point during the presentation, please feel free to chime in. So let's start by defining what a capital project is. A capital project is funded by public monies. It's usually $50,000 or more. Capital projects tend to have a useful life of 5 years or more unless funded by a bond. If that's the case, then we like to see their useful life be more like 20 or 30 years to live out the life of the bond. A capital budget is, the monies are usually used to design, build, restore, retain, or purchase any city-owned asset that is expected to provide a long-term public benefit or propose physical improvements in an element of the city's infrastructure. There are different funding sources that make up the capital budget and fund our capital projects. The first is pay-as-you-go, which is a positive operating balance that is then transferred from the operating budget to the capital budget to pay for projects. We also have bond funds that are allocated when the city goes to the bond market to fund infrastructure projects. And again, bond funds are allocated to projects that usually tend to have a longer useful life. We have community development block grant funds. Those funds are distributed to the city from the federal government to fund projects and programs in areas of the city that are low or moderate income or provide a service for a particular group, such as our seniors. Other funds, which are listed in the capital budget, are typically federal, state funding that funds our larger infrastructure projects that are multi-year, typically known as our TIP projects. Also, we receive grant funding and local matching funds. So let's talk about the Capital Program Facilitation Committee. So this committee was created to ensure the transparent, fair, and equitable distribution of capital funds, and it currently consists of 10 members. We are responsible for advising the mayor and city council on the prioritization of capital project proposals for the capital budget. And during the year, we monitor the spending and performance of individual projects, and we reach out to the public during the budget process through public meetings. We adhere to a strict timeline that is codified in Chapter 218. The formal capital budget process begins in April when the mayor releases the capital priorities. This year's priorities emphasize fixing it first, so looking at our current portfolio of assets and what it would take to repair or restore those assets over new construction or adding to our portfolio. Complete streets, meaning looking at construction and maintenance that supports all modes of transportation. Supporting quality of life in all of our neighborhoods, investment in processes and infrastructure to deliver services more efficiently, and economic development through neighborhood support. In May, departments and city council members submit their project proposals to the CPFC based on these priorities and also the needs of the neighborhoods. In June, the CPFC solicits feedback from citizens at public hearings. In June and July, the CPFC ranks and prioritizes projects and provides its findings to the mayor and city council. In November, the mayor submits the capital budget to City Council and to the public. And then in December, City Council votes on the budget finally. Let's take a look at what's in the capital budget. So it's the city's intent to make this document more user-friendly and more informative whenever possible. So consistent with the past years, the capital budget includes the capital improvement program, which shows the budgeted amount for 2015, 2016, and then the next 5 years. Each project also includes a detailed description, the reason for the project, expected duration, and then the projected cost. In addition, we list deliverables for each project within the year with their location, expected duration, and the project cost for each. In 2015, we had a number of new policies introduced. This past year, the mayor had a few executive orders to tighten financial controls, utilize best practices, and strengthen a proactive approach to asset management. These policies included the Office of Management and Budget approval for new construction and major repairs in city facilities, periodic and regular reviews of capital projects with departments, the evaluation of city facilities, and a 40-year maintenance and investment plan for all city assets. And I should also mention that council approved the revision of Chapter 218, which strengthened the language around the capital budget and the budgeting process. So now I'd like for our directors to tell us a little bit about the projects that they've been working on in the past year and what they've completed. And we'll start with Director Gable of Department of Public Works, move to Director Griffin from Parks and Rec, and then Director Gastel from City Planning.
Okay, thanks, Jen. In 2015 capital budget, the Department of Public Works was responsible for roughly 35 capital projects and over 150 specific deliverables, from bike lanes to wall, step, and fence. This PowerPoint presentation is just a small sample of those deliverables. Some of the projects are actually completed, some are near completion, and some are in the process of being completed. So we're going to start out with bike lanes. It may be a little bit difficult to see, but hopefully you'll be able to see it here. So from our bike infrastructure, this is the Baird Street bike lanes. This is what Baird Street looked like prior to. And then from a view above, again, it's a little hard to see, but the length of Baird Street was done as a bike lane, and it's sort of a zigzag course through, but it was done to accommodate the number of bikes that go through that area of town. The next project is Bike Share. I think everybody's aware of this. It's 50 stations, 500 bikes. It was a federally funded project, about $2.14 million. When I say federally funded, 80% of the money does come from the federal government. The city does put in a small amount. But these stations, 50 stations, are all around the city. And that's an example of one that's over on the North Shore, looking out over the Allegheny Face in Point State Park. And I think that they've turned out to be a very, very popular amenity around the city. I see them being used everywhere. Central Business District signal upgrades. This is the corner of Ross Street and 4th Avenue, and after they've gone in, the new overhead signals, I believe that they're audibleized also. It was 11 intersections were done at a cost of, again, $4.95 million. Again, another federally funded project. So a lot of the burden is on the federal government, but the city does put a little bit of money into this too also. Another project that's close to completion is the Penn Avenue reconstruction. I believe there's a ribbon cutting of some sort on Tuesday. Final inspection. So it's pretty close to being done, and it's changed the streetscape. And it's created a lot of energy for new businesses along that corridor, and that's just phase one. Again, another federally funded $7.2 million project. And that's sort of the new look. You can see the buildings on the right going through some renovations. And this, again, is a spur from the work that was done on the streetscape, the new lighting, the new trash receptacles, the new sidewalks. Trees will be planted in the spring. We got too late in the year to plant them, but that's created a whole new energy for that corridor of East Liberty, Bloomfield, and Garfield. Street resurfacing, our budget was $12,250,000 in 2015. That included a portion of money from the ARAD budget. Not all that money does go specifically to resurfacing streets. About $10.8 million went to resurfacing. The balance of money is used for line striping, pothole material, handicap ramps, and other of those that are tied to the resurfacing. But actual resurfacing, we did $10.8 million worth, and we resurfaced 51 miles. That's 7 miles more than we originally planned when we started out in 15. In conjunction with the county, who paved 2, the state that paved 31, and the utilities that paved 8, the city saw 92 miles resurfaced within the boundaries of the city of Pittsburgh. So in terms of our paving of 51 miles, that hasn't been seen since the year 2000. Now, there were prior years where more like 60 miles were paved, but they were not the depth that we paved at, so they were sort of a single lift. So we feel that we've made some great progress there. It's not the 80 miles that we need to see, but we are moving positively towards that. And with next year's budget, we hope to get closer and closer to that. So that's a picture before and after, and you can see the difference what this resurfacing will do. Grandview Avenue reconstruction, this is to take care of both the road surface and the sidewalks, the ornamental fencing that's up there, the benches and things like that. We did just get started with some sidewalk repairs between a couple of the overlooks, so there's a lot of work to do on the whole stretch from the incline up to McArdle roadway, but we do have plans to continue with the railing, to fix the railing there, get it painted, additional seating, landscaping improvements along the Grandview Avenue, in addition to signage for the Shiloh Street shops that go into Mount Washington. Delrose reconstruction from our streetscape and intersection recon. This is Delrose Street out in, I forget what section of town. Carrick. And this is really, it's about a $550,000 project in conjunction with Columbia Gas. The city's buy-in to this was $184,000. They're doing the street, we're doing the sidewalks. But you know, what's come of it is it's not entirely complete, but it's looking like that, and that's permeable pavers. So that's a great stormwater management project that we're doing in conjunction with the utility, and we appreciate the patience of the residents who live on the street, but in a few weeks or a month they're going to have a complete street built. Next one here is Forbes Avenue reconstruction. Again, this is a before, this is right now a current project, but they are coming close to the Smithfield intersection. They've completed from Wood up close to Smithfield. There will be some work to do on the Smithfield Forbes intersections, but this one is a process in process right now. But again, another federally funded project at $4.62 million. So that's what it's starting to look like with some of the concrete work. And if you're down there, you can see how well it's really starting to look with the curbs and the sidewalks and the street. All right, that's a better view of it there. Ammon pool filters. Jim, I'm sorry if this was on one of those ones on your list, but you can give it a better story. All right, but Ammon pool filters. We have a number of pools, 14 pools. This is one of the, 18 pools we operate, and this facility needed new pool filters, and at $368,000 was spent in new filters, new piping to make the pool much more functional than it's ever been. So I know Director Griffith will be able to speak to that a little bit more. All right, from facility improvements, Freedom Corner, right up above the console up at Crawford and Center Avenue, was in a little disrepair and actually was an incomplete project. There was a saying that was engraved on the wall, but it was never finished, so we put closure to that. We finished the engraving and did a lot of site work up there, and it's a night picture. This is a great picture if we didn't have the lights on right now, but a great improvement up there. You can, and the last thing we have to do is the landscaping that's in front of the sign, which we have to make some modifications, which we'll do in the next few weeks. But the Freedom Corner project, about $290,000, but that was fixing the whole monument up. We had to basically pull up every paver, reset them. We had to work on the steps. We had a lot of electrical issues, just a lot of issues up here, but a a great project, and it looks great at night. Some facility upgrades through our facility improvements. On the left is Fire Station 53. It's known as the Boxing Club up in Troy Hill. Roofing and masonry repairs there. So we've made some major improvements at that facility for the youth that use that building. And the Fire Station 27 that's up in Brookline, again, some roof and masonry repairs for those buildings. We have a lot of facilities. Again, we have a lot of deliverables, a lot of projects. We could be here for an hour going over a lot of stuff, but these are just a couple of examples of some of the projects we're doing. Those particular projects, Fire Station 53 was around $95,000 for the roof and masonry, and the Brookline cost us $218,000 for the roof and masonry. So just those two projects alone, they look similar in size, but two drastically different pricing in terms of cost. Mellon Park sidewalk, we resurfaced along Fifth Avenue, approximately about a quarter mile of sidewalk on that was on the cultural side of Mellon Park. Both sides of the street are Mellon Park, but the one side is I call the recreational side. This is the cultural side. Brand new sidewalk. Again, this is one of the deliverables from 2015. It cost us $80,000 to do that. That's the look there. Swimming pool rehab, the Ormsby pool liners. So there's two pools being done. This is just one of them on the south side. Again, this is a work in progress. I know it's pretty near to completion, so this will be ready for the 2016 pool season. These liners give us longevity rather than go in and continually paint the pool every 2 or 3 years. These liners give us longevity for the pool. Buttonwood Street was a dirt and gravel roads grant. This was not necessarily a deliverable, but it turned, I think, into a nice capital project. Sort of a tertiary kind of street. Had some issues on there, but we qualified for this grant of around $33,000. So it turned into a nice stormwater management project and sort of widened the street for the residents to live on there. So we will, with the success of this project, it's very likely we could be able to secure other grants in the future to do similar projects like this. Again, this is another stormwater management project. Okay. Park reconstruction. This is the former Bloomfield Park. Earlier this year, we renamed it in honor of Paul Schillo II as a memorial park, the fallen officer who lived and worked in Bloomfield. Of particular, again, this is another great night shot, but in order to accommodate the deck hockey rink that was being built here in conjunction with the Penn's Foundation also, we relocated and improved the bocce courts, improved the playground, realigned the parking, and installed night lighting. And the total cost of this project was $1.2 million, and it came actually from multiple sources, but the Park Recon was the biggest driver on that. And Homewood parking lot, this is to accommodate the parking issues out in Homewood. Willie Sturgill Field has a very good football program that draws a lot of participants and visitors to the community, but it has a real lack of parking out there. So we made use of some vacant land near the right up the street from the park, and basically improved the parking for that space. It can be, again, used year-round, but primarily it's to accommodate the football crowd that does come there and visit us from other communities outside of the city. And about 52 spaces here. We did some landscaping improvements, sidewalk improvements all around the site. And another park recon. This is out of the ARAD, Riverview Park Observatory Road. I've been looking to do this for a number of years, and we finally got enough money to make this happen. This is actually a road that has been paved over and over and over again, that people would hit the catch basins on the side and probably drop a foot down. So this is a total reconstruction, full depth reconstruction of the road. The only thing that hasn't gone in yet is the new lighting, which will be going soon. But the thing about this project is we worked with the University of Pittsburgh in order to take it up and around the observatory, the property that they own in Riverview Park. So we've widened the road, we have new lighting, there's new guide rail there, better catch basins for stormwater management, new sanitary line, and improvements up above at the dog area for the parking and the people who use the dog area. So this project in total came to $667,000. And last but not least, the picture we saw before, this obviously is a project that just started. It'll look for a completion date hopefully by the end of 16, but more likely the beginning of 17, is the Greenfield Bridge. We're currently going through 2 weekends of closures on the Parkway, and soon to be the one between Christmas and New Year's, where we'll have a complete closure for that period of time in order to implode the bridge. So we're just trying to give everybody fair warning each time we can do that. But Greenfield Bridge in its day, wrapped, and then of course to catch the falling debris over the years, they built a bridge under the bridge. So that's sort of a look of a few weeks ago and going through the demolition phase. And just to give everybody a kind of a look-see, that's what it'll hopefully look like in 17 when we cut the ribbon on that. All right? So that's our presentation for right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, my name is Jim Griffin with City Parks. I have no slides, but I want to give you a brief summary of some of the capital projects that came into fruition in 2015 and talk about some of our goals for 2016 as well. Almost all of our work is done in partnership with the DPW's engineering and construction and their team of architects and engineers, and we're grateful for their support and appreciative of their work in providing us with quality project management and assistance over the years. In 2015, we began several projects, including the reconstruction and remodeling of the Beachview Healthy Active Living Center. This center was purchased, I think, in early 2014 and has been closed as we began phase 1 this year to restore this to make it from a basement facility to a multi-story facility and hopefully intergenerational complex that will attract a new generation and retain our current generation of seniors for the next several years. And that project is scheduled to completion in approximately 18 months. In addition, we conducted over $500,000 in pool maintenance over our 18 outdoor pools and our 1 indoor pools. As Director Gable mentioned, that included liners, painting, equipment repair, and ADA mitigation as well. In addition to that, the Director mentioned the replacement of the filtration system at the Ammon Recreation Center and Pool. That was a almost $1 million project that was delayed by 3 months in an untimely way, but ultimately concluded and completed, and we will have swimming in 2016 at Ammon for many years to come. We also began permitting of a Riverview artificial surface soccer field in 2015. That also includes a walking track, so that facility is online and being programmed and also being maintained by City Parks programming with our partners. And we almost and just about have completed the reconstruction of the Shenley Ice Rink. And if the weather cooperates, we hope to open very soon. And I may keep saying that for a few weeks as it approaches 60 degrees again today. But that includes a new banquet hall and also a new party room for children, and also, just as importantly, an elevator to provide some access support for folks who need that. And also, another capital project we rolled out with the Innovation and Performance Office was the addition of wireless networking facilities across all of our City Parks recreation and healthy active living centers. So if you walk into a center, a City Park center, you will be able to connect to Wi-Fi and operate your devices and operate our devices to do things like connect with your grandchildren if you're a senior, or to complete a job application or learn how to do programs like that. We'll offer training and classes to promote those kinds of activities, and that was a real success in 2015. In 2016, we will begin and hopefully complete the construction of the Arlington Spray Park. We also intend to complete the design process and conduct groundbreaking for the Paulson Spray Park. Spray parks have been very influential in terms of providing an extraordinarily valuable amenity for our communities and and provide some value in terms of cost components as compared to our swimming pools. We, of course, still value our swimming pools, and we started programs to expand the swim culture in the city of Pittsburgh, including second grade swim, and we hope to add family swims and also senior aerobics classes as well with our partner in Pittsburgh Public Schools. So that will be an important capital. Those spray parks and the completion of our spray park schedule is an important capital component of our strategy moving forward. We'll also continue to install new filtration systems in 2016 at Shenley Pool, and also conduct further ADA mitigation strategies there. And that's a process that will continue at other pools as well in out years. And finally, we hope to occupy the new Dairy District Farmers Market in Carrick when it is constructed and completed, hopefully this spring. And even though we did not build that facility, we program many of the facilities that DPW and our other partners help us construct and maintain. We do things in terms of mitigating our risk in terms of capital management, like starting our Ranger program there that mitigates some of the costs in terms of maintaining some of our capital facilities, whether it's in Riverview Park, where we have the new road that access the dog park and the tennis court, or places like Allegheny Commons or Market Square, where we have a variety of visitors and some risk associated with adverse activities there. So the Ranger program will go a long way in protecting those capital investments that we make. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank the committee for the opportunity to present our budget, and I will familiarize myself with our machine. We're going to describe, and I've asked my Assistant Director, Andrew Dash, to join in this presentation. So I'm going to give a quick overview. He's going to give a focus in on the 2015 accomplishments, as well as what's in progress in 2015, and then I'm going to conclude with the 2016 priorities. But let me just note on the next slide, you'll see that in the projects completed in 2015, we're going to be referring to Cultural Heritage Plan implementation, Open Space Plan implementation, public art, ongoing programs, and transportation, especially with the focus on complete streets, which, as is noted, is one of the priorities of the administration for 2016 and beyond. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew Dash.
Thank you, Director. The first capital project that we're going to talk about that was completed in 2015 was around the city's Cultural Heritage Plan. And so this is part of the city's comprehensive plan, the 25-year vision for historic properties and cultural heritage in the city. And so the three projects that were completed in 2015, the first was the phase 2 of the architectural inventory. And what this is a inventory of the historic resources in certain neighborhoods. Phase 2 occurred in the north side. And with all of these cultural heritage plan implementations, the capital budget line allowed us to get matching grant funds from the state, from the History Museum Commission. The second item is an economic benefits of historic preservation document that the city was able to complete. This kind of leads for community-based organizations as well as other nonprofits in the city to really be able to have the information needed to pursue additional funding opportunities in the future. The third was a study of conservation districts. Conservation districts are less rigorous of a district than a city historic district, but an opportunity for neighborhoods to protect the things that are of concern to them relative to context of buildings and the neighborhoods. So this project, although it is citywide, focused primarily on Carrick, the Central North Side, and the Middle Hill. And those three projects were completed this year. The city's open space plan is another component of its comprehensive plan. And the vision for how the city looks at its open spaces, its parks and recreation facilities. So the projects completed there were the vacant lot toolkit and the Adopt a Lot program. The Adopt a Lot program was passed by City Council in the past month. What that does is allow, it was a resource guide for communities and for residents to be able to adopt vacant city-owned lots. And that was created. The second was a collaboration with the Department of Public Works. Actually, we'll have a number of those on our slides over planning for Whiteman Park. And that was completed with Paschik and Associates. The project was led by the Department of Public Works. Next one is signage guidelines. So we did create new signage guidelines in conjunction with a consultant that were approved by the Art Commission at their November meeting. And then in addition to that, with some of our leftover capital funds, did do our 2-year report on the city's open space plan and what achievements have been made. Moving on to public art, so there was continued restoration of our art pieces. The primary one being the Pittsburgh, commonly known as the French fry statue in Frank Curto Park on Bigelow Boulevard. And we worked on the completion of the public art plan. There is a draft that's now complete, which will be taking to public review in the first quarter of 2016. Transportation, this is other items that really worked in collaboration with the Department of Public Works. Our bicycle pedestrian coordinator, for example, is in partnership with them over the completion of Director Gable showed Bayard Street and some of the other infrastructure that we've completed in Oakland this year. Other instances are 40th Street, East Street, and the extension of the protected bike lane on Penn Avenue. Again, another item for is streetscape improvement funds, which are in the Department of City Planning's capital budget, but also in collaboration with Public Works. Those have been expended on some of the projects that the director had already stated. In addition, we did just a couple weeks ago complete the workshop for Complete Streets, and what that was the bringing of national experts in to talk about how the city can implement a complete streets policy. That work will lead us to the adoption of a complete streets policy in the beginning of 2016. So moving from completed projects to projects that are still in process that are capital funds, the Eco-Innovation District is a neighborhood planning effort that's going on in the Uptown and West Oakland neighborhoods. Really kind of interfacing with the bus rapid transit developments. We did select a consultant in June. This is about an 18-month process. So we're really looking to go out and start the public process in the beginning of 2016. Another study is a study of 21st Street and the Strip, looking at the opportunity to rethink how the design standards for our streets in a neighborhood like the Strip are created. And so there was a consultant that was selected for that. We have had one public meeting relative to that planning effort, and they're working to develop designs. A couple other projects that are still in progress, the city's urban design plan, similar to one of the other plans. We did select a consultant, and there's work on the development of an action plan underway, so that's going to transfer into 2016. There's some line items in city planning's budget around signage, and what these did was the capital funds that were here allowed us to pursue and get grant funding or other funding from nonprofits that then helped to make these projects possible. The first of which is the route and signage plan. This is a project that we've been working with the Department of Public Works on to develop construction details. We've identified locations, and they're going to work up the details and get to final costs. The wayfinding system, this is a program that the city is involved with a number of nonprofits, primarily the Oakland Business Improvement District, the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership, and the North Side Collaborative to develop a pedestrian wayfinding system for the city. And although that study is still underway, the section where the city's capital budget funds we haven't come to that point in the process yet, so that's going to move into 2016. We talked about the things that were done with the city's cultural heritage plan. There are some projects that are still in progress. The two being the phase 3 of the city's architectural inventory, which will move to the Carrick neighborhood, focused on Brownsville Road, to be an implementation of the conservation district. And then the study of the potential for a National Register district in the Lawrenceville neighborhoods, where we've developed a scope and are looking to go out to the public in the beginning of 2016. In addition, relative to our work for persons with disabilities, we have hired the Center for Hearing and Deaf Services to provide interpretive services, and have worked on issues for persons with disabilities in a series called Accessible PGH, which we have hired a consultant to continue that work. So that's all of the projects that we have in progress in 2015, and I'm going to turn it back to Director Gastel to talk about the projects that we have looking towards 2016.
Thank you. So capital projects, work that we are looking forward to doing in 2016. And we're going to identify these, as you see here, in the neighborhoods agenda, which could be perhaps better named an agenda to empower neighborhoods, which is really the tool that we've been developing to make sure. We'll talk about that in a moment. The riverfront and zoning, first with the interim planning overlay district and moving towards a longer-term zoning and plan for the riverfronts. Complete streets, the Affordable Housing Task Force, which is both the work that's happening with the task force, but also carrying it through, and our commitment to have a housing plan for the city as part of the larger comprehensive plan vision. And finally, a number of items within the goals of completing the comprehensive plan. So let me start with the neighborhood agenda, in which one is that there are a lot of neighborhood plans in the city of Pittsburgh today. We do not have a formal means of adopting them. We may not find ourselves adopting all of them, but at the same time, the goal is to set up, it's time for the city to actually have a method for recognizing and having a formal relationship to plans that are developed by communities, and we're looking forward to that work. In addition, we see that as a foundation of the comp plan. This is the neighborhood plans are part of our vision for what a comprehensive plan for the city of Pittsburgh can be. Secondly, with that is the information and the resource of a State of the Neighborhoods report. We're looking at that as a way of really looking through, going beyond just to get any records and any information and the data that we can, as well as the narrative that we can about the state of the neighborhoods in Pittsburgh today. Next, we're looking towards a program, and again, this is something we're going to work on. We may not have a perfect model, but we're looking for a means of having a recognized community organization process, such as other municipalities in the Commonwealth use and others around the country. Finally, we're working towards actually making sure, sort of in the spirit of deliberative democracy, although not necessarily with all the precise tools of that, a Citizens Planning Institute, which is to make sure that in addition to the programs that already exist, that the people of Pittsburgh know, understand, and can move plans forward and understand the tool of city planning in the context of government and action. Finally, we have ongoing neighborhood plan work, which is going to happen in a few key communities in 2016, and then move on through other communities as we progress with the plan over the next 5 years. On the riverfronts, let me move to this one and just note that we have developed an interim planning overlay district proposal, which we plan to get out quite soon. It's had a great deal of input and discussion, but it's going to actually move forward into larger public meetings. We're looking at this as it's a framework for making decisions at the riverfront on a few key points, and that is very familiar to those that have been working on projects on the riverfront. These are key issues that both the city and river life and communities have been asking for some time, and this will actually institutionalize some of that. We're looking forward to the process, which includes large public meetings and then all the hearings and normal process of an ordinance going through the legislative process from the Planning Commission onto the City Council. We look forward to it in being adopted at some point in the second quarter of 2016. And then the real work, though, begins. The IPOD, the Interim Planning Overlay District, is this first step. That's basically identifying the area where work needs to be done and some of the key issues where a position needs to be taken at this time. But the real work becomes with getting a permanent, a long-term plan and riverfront development regs, whether in the form of ordinances, policies, et cetera. And that's something that really with the Interim Planning Overlay District begins. Once that gets going, a clock starts of 18 months, and it's our job to actually complete that type of riverfront plan in those 18 months. And so, complete streets. I think we are moving towards getting a policy which goes beyond. We're fortunate to have the mayor's executive order, but we're working to develop that into a larger, a more detailed policy document, which we need to move into an adoption. And we're also working on design guideline standards. There are some great design guideline standards nationally that are a key reference to us, and that were references we brought in the workshop, which was described by Assistant Director Dash earlier. But at the same time, we think there's a lot to learn from Pittsburgh in terms of we have special conditions. We have, as we all know, remarkable topography, and we also have streets that were actually, for the most part, not laid out for the car. They're actually earlier systems. And so the question is how, with this relatively tight public right-of-way, we can actually develop and adapt guidelines that are meaningful for us here in Pittsburgh. And then the Affordable Housing Task Force. As I mentioned, the task force is tasked with completing recommendations to the City Council by the end of May of 2016. In addition, and that's a first step, and it's key to us being able to do the work of having a housing plan for the City of Pittsburgh that we can incorporate into the comprehensive plan work. And so we look forward to finishing the Affordable Housing Tasking Plan, its tasks by second quarter, but also moving towards a consultant selection for a final set of housing plan, which would take us from 2016 onwards. And finally, some items from the comprehensive plan. We are planned to release the final draft for discussion document for the public art plan in early 2016, and hope to address the issues and have a strong dialogue in addition to the years of dialogue which actually we've already had. Similarly, with the urban design plan, we have a plan to release it and move it forward, and through discussion and potential revision, but through in 2016. And then finally, the mobility plan, also known as the transportation plan. This is a document which we will be building on the Complete Streets work, which is sort of foundational for that, as well as, and then we are going to move forward into the planning and completing it in 2016. So a few items to do in 2016. Thank you.
I want to take a moment to mention the two committee members who are not with us today, Councilwoman Teresa Carroll-Smith and Director Sam Ashbaugh of the Office of Management and Budget. I also want to mention that these are public meetings. The public is welcome to come to any one of our meetings, attend, hear what we're talking about, and even comment. The meetings for next year will be posted online. With that, does anyone have anything to add to our presentations today or to the discussion? All right, that concludes our meeting. Thank you very much for your time and your attendance.